Welcome to the Activated Advertising Masterclass. My name is Abe Abuquake, and I'm going to talk to you about one of the most eye-opening processes you've probably ever seen in your life, because it'll help you get more customers. It'll help your customers, or you get you to help your customers spend more, and it'll help your customers spend more often, meaning they're coming back over and over again. They will refer their friends. They'll have a phenomenal experience with doing business with you. All right. Now, before I talk about the details of what it is, I want to talk to you about why it's important. All right. And there are really two reasons. Okay. Number one, if you are a startup or if you're early on in business, okay, or even if you've been in business for a long time, but you're stuck, right? There's a level that you just can't pass. All right. The first part of this process is that it'll help you maximize your potential. Okay. You'll understand how to apply, how to implement systems and processes that will help you scale, right? And I'm not talking about scale in terms of 10%, 20%. I'm talking about at minimum 20% to 100%. I've used this process to help double, triple, even quadruple companies' revenues in 1 year. Okay. So if you're either a startup and you need no money down ways to build your business, this is number one. Number two is if you are an existing business and you're stuck and you want to raise the roof on your potential or hit the potential that you know you're capable of, this will help you maximize your potential. And the last thing is for those who are advertising. Okay. If you're spending money on advertising, then you're already familiar with the term return on ad spend, ROAS, right? Most companies are lucky if they get anywhere between 3 to 4 return on ad spend, right? And some people would consider that great. I would consider that average, all right? But when you understand how to use activated advertising, it's what allows you to go to 10x return on ad spend, 15x, 20x, 25x, okay? And I've seen this and I've done it personally, so I know it's possible, all right? Excuse me, it's not COVID. So that's the value here, right? Startups, no money down ways to grow your business. Stuck companies who have been around for a while, it'll help you unlock your full potential. And number three, those who are advertising, it'll help you maximize your return on ad spend. So that's the value here. The process is simple. And before I go into it, I want to tell you a quick story about where this came from, right? Because this is something that honestly, I didn't really realize how valuable it was until later on in my business life. So back when I was 18 years old, right, I started business when I was 17. At 18, I had my second big opportunity. And this opportunity was to help a failing business get to breaking even. Okay. It was a gym and they were losing $20,000 every single month in revenue. All right. The goal was not to make money. The goal was to get them to break even so they could sell the company. These guys were ready to liquidate all their equipment, all of the tools, what was it called? Like the weights, the bikes, the treadmills, the ellipticals. They were ready to sell all of it and be done with the business, close the doors for good, okay? But they wanted to give it one last shot, one last hurrah. And I had just helped with a lot of customer acquisition strategies. So I came in and told them, listen, this is what you have to do. I laid out a plan for them and they said, okay, you got 3 months. You got 3 months to get this company to breaking even. Okay. So I'm going to go into the details in a second, but I want to tell you the result. The result was by month 3, we went from negative $20,000 to $0. That means we're breaking even as a business. We hit our goal. And then in the next 4 months, we added another $25,000. It was almost 30,000. It's a little under 30,000. So let's call it 25,000. Okay. At the end of the year, when you tally all of that up, we added over $500,000 in revenue without spending a dollar on advertising in 7 months. Okay. The process that I'm going to show you is going to talk about, so that's where it came from. The process that I'm going to show you, I've refined it and tweaked it a little bit over the years, but that's where it came from. It came from figuring out, okay, how do we get creative? How do we take a company that has no money to invest in advertising, no money to invest in marketing, and how do we get more customers? How do we get the company to operate more profitably? How do we build our cash flows? Those were the challenges, right? And this process is a creative process that helps you overcome what I just mentioned without having to spend $1. All right. And if you do this right, going back to the third group, those who are already spending money on advertising, if you do this right, your return on ad spend, every dollar that you spend on advertising will be worth $5, $10, $15, $25 more times more than what it's currently worth. Okay. So you will activate your advertising. That's where the name comes from. And that's the story of where the origin of this came from. Okay. So if you are trying to, so that's really it. Okay. I get really into this. I can go on and on, but I want to make sure that this video gives you is long enough to give you the value, but short enough where you don't get bored. So with that being said, I want to dive into it. So if you somewhere on your, it's probably somewhere on your right-hand side, there's a download button with a PDF. Feel free to, you can do it now, you can do it at the end, or if you're taking notes, excuse me. If you're taking notes, you can take notes, but the PDF is there that highlights all 7 steps in this process. So I want to talk about the first process, and I want to talk about the first process and the first step. The first couple steps, the order is important, and you're going to see why. Eventually, the order doesn't really matter, but let's go through it. So if you're looking at the document, the first thing that it says is gather the data. Okay, now you can get. Here's the thing about data. Depending on what kind of business you have, it can be either really hard or really easy to get the data. All right. You can get financial data, which is a whole other rabbit hole. And if you know how to do it, great. If you don't know how to do it, honestly, it's okay right now. All right. But I want to talk to you about 4 numbers. All right. Really what you want to know are 4 numbers and a couple subsections within those 4 numbers. So the 4 numbers are, number 1, you want to know how many active customers you have. Okay. If you are a subscription business, it's very simple. It's the number of subscribers or the number of members that you have. Okay. If you are a one-time purchase-based business where you're selling products and goods, let's just say, for example, it's contacts, right? I'm wearing contacts right now. Your active customers are those who are buying in the standard buying cycle. Okay. So for me, every 3 months, I have to order new contacts. For some reason, they don't have an easy pay model, but that's a whole other story. So let's say 3 months goes by, I order my contacts, great, I'm an active customer. But let's say 6 months goes by and I have not ordered my contacts. I am now part of the second group, which is an inactive customer. Okay. So now your inactive customers, these are people who you didn't do anything wrong. As a business owner, as a business, nothing bad happened. You just have to give your customer a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a reminder. Okay. So that's your second group. So you want to figure out your active customer. I'm going to go into the subsections in a second, but you want to figure out the number of your active customers, the number of your inactive customers. Okay. And then if you can, this is a little bit tricky sometimes, but if you can, figure out the number of X customers. Now, the difference between inactive customers and X customers is very simple. Inactive customers, like I said, nothing bad ever really happened, but X customers, those are individuals who had a bad experience. Okay. They received their package and the goods were broken and the problem never got resolved. They spoke to somebody on customer service and the customer service rep just showed that they didn't care. Okay. They were promised that the product or service would do something and it didn't do what they promised that it would do. Okay. Basically they had a bad experience. Okay. And that's the difference between inactive customers and X customers. So if you can differentiate that, great. If you can't, just keep it as one. Okay. Don't kill yourself on this. So those are the first 3. The fourth one are your non-converted leads. Okay. These are people who, it's very self-explanatory, but those who have expressed interest in whatever it is that you're offering, whether it's a product or a service, but they have not followed through with the purchase. Okay. So those are the 4 numbers. All right. And you want to figure out the quantity. How many people in each of those 4 categories do you have? Okay. Now that's the first thing. If you hopefully you are doing a good job of gathering the data. If you're not, you should start gathering this data today. Okay. But you should have the quantity of people, all right, number of people. You should also have their contact information at the most basic level: name, phone number, email. Those are essentials. Get that information within each of these categories. The other, as a bonus, you've got zip code, you've got birthday. If you have any other notes, if you're doing like a more client-facing business, if you have notes about these individuals where you have preferences, amazing. You're way ahead of the game, right? So get those. If you're creating like a column of all this information, fill those columns out. Okay. In addition, there's 3 numbers that you want to know under each of these: active, inactive, X, and non-converted leads. Okay. Number 1, you want to know how much are people spending. Okay. When they do business with you, right? Like think about when somebody if you have a gym, right? And it's a $30 membership, right? They're spending $30 with you every time they do business with you. Okay. If you know that they buy, 3-4 Gatorades a month, now they're spending $42 with you. Okay. So each transaction, how much is each transaction worth? Okay. That's number 1. Number 2 is how many transactions per year do they have? In the case of a gym, right? It's monthly, but maybe somebody's not staying for a whole year. Maybe they're only staying for 6 months, right? And then they cancel for 6 months, and then New Year's comes around and they start another 6 months, right? Whatever it is, figure out how many times, if you can, somebody does business with you in a given year. Okay. So number 1, how much they spend per transaction. And number 2, how many transactions per year. Okay. Find those 2 numbers for all of your active, inactive, X, and obviously non-converted leads is not going to count, but the first 3. Okay. So that's the first thing. Gather the data. All right. And the reason why this is important, I'm going to go back to the gym story for a second. The reason why this is important is because it's going to uncover a pile of hidden gold. All right. When we were flipping the gym, they had about 600 active members. They had a X member list. We couldn't differentiate between inactive and X, but they had an X member list of 2,200 people. All right. And I want to give you just a little tease on how valuable that was. That list of 2,200 people brought in $20,000 a month times 12 months. What is that? 240,000. That 2,200 people who were X members brought in $250,000 a year. Just think about that, right? There is gold in your list, in your data. And if you know how to mine it, which is what I'm going to show you right now, you're going to be a really happy camper. Okay. Now, I know data is kind of boring. This is a little bit slow probably, but I'm trying to I want you to see the potential here. All right. So now this is going to get really fun. So the second part of this is now you have your data, right? You understand your data. I want you to start communicating with your customers. All right. If you have an in-person business, it's a very easy thing to do. You literally have one-on-one conversations. Make sure you're intentional about the questions that you're asking and make sure you're writing them down, please, right? Have a record of this stuff. The best way to do it is through surveys, all right? I'm not going to go into the details of it. Excuse me, I have the hiccups / burping. Anyway, so awkward. I'm not going to go into details, but I want you guys to research the Net Promoter Score, all right? In short, it's going to show you how strong your word of mouth is, right? And if your word of mouth is strong, everything in your business is going to work way better, more profitably. When I say better, I mean more profitably, all right? Because when you think about advertising, when you're advertising and you're spending money to acquire a customer, and now that customer is going to tell their 2, 3, 4, 5 friends, those 2, 3, 4, 5 friends, you're not paying for, right? So think about the profitability of this, all right? So use the Net Promoter Score to figure out your word of mouth, all right? Get a conversation for what is going on. Really, at the core, you want to figure out 2 things. Number 1, you want to figure out what your strengths are, right? Because what in your business, you want to be able to answer this question. What in your business do people love the most? Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the second question you want to be able to answer is, why are people leaving, or why are people no longer doing business with you? Okay. From your active customers, you're going to get the first question. From your inactive customers, your X customers, you're going to get the answer to the second question. And what do those answers give you? They give you your strengths and you give you their weaknesses. When it comes to marketing, The strengths are the things that you know you're doing really well on, and they're the reason why people are continuously doing business with you. So you want to push those strengths harder, as hard as you can. Your weaknesses are your inefficiencies. They're the reason why, if you're spinning your wheels trying to grow your business, that's why. It's the weaknesses. So when you figure out what they are, now you know what to solve. Now you know what to work on. Okay. So that's the second thing. Get into the communication. Number 3. Okay. So it says optimize your sales process, right? Back when we were talking about the numbers, 2 of the things that I talked about were how much do people spend per transaction and how many times per year do people do business with you. Okay. I'm going to go again. I'm going to be start this general because I want you guys to be able to ask questions. But the first thing you have to figure out is, how do you increase your average order value? How do you get people to spend more per transaction, right? Another way to think about this is, how do you better serve them? How do you solve their problems? Okay. If you're a gym, I don't know why I keep thinking about gyms right now, but probably because I just finished a workout. But if you're a gym, right, and you've got a membership, right, and the question you have to ask yourself is, how do I get somebody to spend more? Well, think about it this way. When you offered the gym membership, right, or try to replace your product or your service in this example. When you offered your product or service, it created a new problem. It solved one problem, right? The facilities to get fit, the facilities to get healthy, but it created another problem. It created the problem of accountability. It created the problem of, man, I don't have the discipline to get my butt over to the gym. So what's that next problem? How can you solve that next problem? Trainers, one-on-one trainers, right? Now, if you got that $30 membership and now you stack a trainer on it, maybe it's worth $60. Maybe it's worth $90. Maybe it's worth $100. You've increased your average order value. And if you do that with all of your customers, think about it, from $30 to $60 or whatever number it is that you're working with, you've doubled your business just by doing that. You don't need to get new customers. All you have to do is double what you already have. Going back to the concept of maximizing what you already have. So that's number 1. Number 2 is getting them to come in more often. All right. If you are, gym membership is not going to make it, well, it could make a difference. If you keep somebody, let's say, I mentioned 6 months, right? Let's say the average person keeps their gym membership per year for 6 months. If you can get them to stick around for 9 months, right? That's a, 6 under 9, I think it's like a 30-ish% increase, right? That's a 30% increase to your revenues, right? So think about it that way. Optimize your sales process to get people to spend more per transaction and more often per year. Okay. Now, at this point, what do we got, right? I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I have everything. So you've got the data, you've communicated with your customers, you know your strengths, you know what you're doing really well at, you've got your weaknesses, you know what's causing people to leave, which is causing inefficiency in your business. And you've optimized your sales process. You figured out a couple of ways to get people to spend more and spend more often. Okay. Now here's the fun part. Okay. Now, there's a term in tech called attrition, right? Attrition and churn. Churn is basically the number of clients that you've lost. Attrition is the whole picture of how many people per month or per year, however you're calculating it really, that you are gaining or losing, right? So, for example, let's say you've got a business and every month you add 10 new customers, but you lose 2. Your churn is 2, attrition is 8. Make sense? So what we want to do in this step is we want to focus on the weaknesses. The feedback that we got about the reason what people don't like about your business, the experience part of what they don't like, what they don't appreciate, what they think you could do better at. We want to work on fixing those. But how do we want to work on fixing those? The way we want to work on fixing those is to create a movement, to create a story. Okay. And I'm going to use this gym, the turnaround example, because it's a really powerful one. Okay. So as I told you, that gym had 600 people. There was an ex-members list of 2,200 people. When we surveyed them and we asked them, hey, listen, like we're sorry that you left the gym. We just came into new management. We're trying to understand what happened, why you had a bad experience, why you left, and your feedback would be really helpful. And their feedback was, we really love the gym, but there's a couple things that just can't, like, we asked for it to get fixed, but they never got fixed. Number one were the bathrooms. They smelled really bad. Okay. Number two was that demographic had a lot of individuals who, women specifically, who were mothers, and their favorite classes were at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. What do those classes coincide with? School, right? So if they're stay-at-home mothers, they're dropping off their kids and they're picking up their kids, that means they can't attend their favorite classes. So that was number two. And number three was there's just a lot of dust on the equipment. All right. And they just felt like the gym wasn't being taken care of. So I want you guys to relate this, right, to the document so you can follow along. So what I wrote was begin to reduce churn and create a movement. All right. When you know what your problems are and you're empathetic about really like caring, right? Just you care about these people, you can relate to them and they will be very honest with you. They'll tell you what you did wrong, right? They're not going to yell at you. They're going to say, look, like, we really liked what you have, but this, and this, and that's why we stopped doing business with you. But that's one of the greatest opportunities, because if you really show that you care, okay, which is what we did. We said, listen, when we got all that feedback, we sent out emails and text message communication that said, listen, guys, we're really appreciative of your feedback. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to share something really special with you. So just keep an eye out on your email, and you'll see it soon. And we thought about what we're going to do. And the second part of this is getting the data and now creating the movement, right? How do you create a movement? In this example, we took those problems. We took the bathrooms, we took the class times, and we took the dusty gyms. Okay. And like I said, we didn't have a lot of money. So I remember personally, I was going in and cleaning the bathrooms, making sure that they were spotless. Okay. When it comes to the class times, I had re-switched some of the class times so that they fit at the times that the mothers wanted to be in those classes. Okay. And with all the dust around the equipment, I went into the gym and I cleaned that gym so that it was spotless. Okay. High standards. And I didn't just do it right away. What I did was I created the movement. I know I'm getting a little repetitive now, so I'm just going to get into it. I sent out an offer to those X members, the 2,200 people. And I told them, listen, we're really sorry that our standards didn't meet your expectations in the past, but we've heard your feedback. We understand and we can empathize with that. We realize that that was a mistake that we really shouldn't have made, but we're aware of it now. And we're on a mission to fix those mistakes and to re-win your trust. Okay. And over the next 3 months, what we'd like to do is we'd like to offer you a free membership. Okay. And in those 3 months, all we ask for is your feedback, your open and honest feedback. All right. Our goal and our mission is to prove to you that we care about you, that we care about this gym, and that we're going to give you everything we have to offer. We want to make sure that your satisfaction is the number one priority, and we've raised our standards, and we don't want to tell you that we've done it. We want to show you that we've done it. So to have this free 3-month membership, at the end of the 3 months, if you don't like what you saw, at the worst case scenario is that you got 3 months of free membership. The best case scenario is you got your gym back. Okay. And we created a movement, and we brought them along in our turnaround process. We made them a part of rebuilding the gym. And every day I would hear the trainers, I would hear the management, the staff, and the members say, this gym is alive again, right? From those 2,200 people, we had almost 1,000 people come back into the gym. So think about that psychologically, right? If you do that with your business, think about psychologically how much that's going to have an effect on how much buzz you create, right? And that's a huge part of marketing, is creating that buzz. All right. So create that movement. All right. It doesn't have to be 3 months. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Use however much time you feel you need to get the job done. Okay. So that's it. And just a quick side note, In the example I just shared with you, it was a very aggressive offer because the gym was failing and we knew that there were big problems. If you don't have big problems, you might not need to be that aggressive. But through the conversations and through the surveys that I'd mentioned, you will understand, you will learn what you need to do. Okay. Number three. All right. Number three. Number five. Okay. That's actually really the same thing. Creating a movement is, I really talked about it, but basically just to quickly go over it. You're going back and you are sending a message to those who you've lost, and you want to bring them back into the business, and you want to make them part of that movement. Okay. Sorry, I can't really see this because this microphone's in the way, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything for you guys. Okay, so I want you guys to think about where you are right now, right? You've gathered data, you've identified your strengths, you've identified your weaknesses, okay? So you know what you have to push harder in terms of your marketing message, and you know what you have to fix to make your business more efficient. You created a movement, okay? And you've built buzz, right? So by this point, your business should be really buzzing, all right? You should have momentum, all right? And if you're a business owner right now, you know that's the hardest thing to create is momentum. But once you have momentum, it's like a wave, like nothing is going to stop it. All right. And that's what I want you guys to create up until this point, a wave that nobody's going to stop. All right. And this is going to help you accelerate. So now what we talk about, this is not necessarily in order, but it's going to help accelerate the growth. All right. I had mentioned referrals. Okay. Right now, I guarantee referrals. Well, actually, I don't guarantee, depending on how you're running. If you're running really heavily on advertising, maybe it's not the case, but there's a good chance that a lot of your business comes from referrals, especially if you're like a client-facing business, right? If you're a product-based business, maybe not. But anyway, the business that you have coming from referrals, I can almost guarantee you can double, triple, or quadruple the effectiveness of your referrals right now just by putting in a systematic referral system. Okay. Again, I'm not going to go so in depth on this because I could go literally for hours just on this topic. But think about it this way. Every time, if you're an online business and somebody's dealing with customer support, is there a system to generate referrals there? Okay. Every time somebody orders a new product or confirms that they're going to start using your service, right? Is there a way to generate referrals over there? Okay. Services, usually it takes a couple of weeks until you've actually showed a little bit of value, but do you have a system, not something that you just do on a whim or you do when you feel like it, a dedicated system that allows you to maximize your referrals. These are low hanging fruits that go a long way. Okay. If you guys have questions about how to make a specific referral system, just ask them in the comments, or we'll talk about them. If you're part of my membership, we can talk about them on one of the live calls. If you're not part of my membership, you need to apply. Anyway, so build a referral system. Okay. Number three, I don't know why I keep saying number three. Number seven. I'm going through these it's all the same for me. It's all just in my head at this point. But number seven, mutually profitable partnerships. Now, I want you to think about something, okay? Whatever product or service you offer, your customers are always going to buy either before and after what you buy, okay? Let's take an example. I gotta think of something. Okay, I got something. COVID. You guys have all experienced this COVID lockdown, all right? So this should be relatable to all. When COVID first started, there was a frenzy for buying laptops, all right? So your Best Buys, wherever else you buy laptops, Apple Store, HP Store, Windows Store, these guys were so busy. Even your electronic stores, these guys were so busy, okay? That was the first thing that people needed. Eventually, everybody had a laptop, all right? And then what were they doing with that laptop? They were going to their kitchen table and they were trying to crank out 8 hours of work. And they realized that their damn chair and table was giving them bad back pain, right? So what's the next thing that they bought? They bought a table and a chair, right? And now their back is okay. So the second thing. And then eventually they realized, man, these Zoom calls are never going to end, right? And I've got my kids running around. I've got dogs barking. I've got cats jumping on my keyboard. I got to get more professional here. So what's the third thing that they do? They go invest in a microphone. They go invest in something that they could put behind them so that it looks a little bit more professional. They invest in lighting. They invest in a camera, right? So you have these three different people, and you could be any of those three businesses, right? But if you know that people are going to go through that sales cycle, right? You have a huge leverage point. You can get the customer that buys, let's say you're the person that sells the tables and the chairs. You can get the person that you know is going to need that table and chair in a little bit by going directly to that, partnering with that company that sells the electronics, right? And you say, hey, listen, we know that in a couple of weeks when people are tired of working on their tables and their backs are burning and hurting and they've got, their shoulders are all crossed up, they're going to want help. And what better way can you serve your customers by telling them, hey, listen, we've got a trusted partner that's going to give you a table and a chair. And that way you're not going to have to worry about back pain. Okay. And you tell them, hey, listen, for every person that converts into a sale, we'll give you $100, give you however much is relevant to the sale, right? If they're spending, I spent probably like what, $500, right? The company probably made, I don't know, let's call it $300. Would you spend $100 to guarantee a $300 sale? I would. I'd do it all day, right? So mutually beneficial partnership. And the same thing goes all the way around and vice versa, right? So think about where you are in the buying cycle. Think about what comes before you and what comes after you. And ask yourself, can I partner with people to guarantee that they send business my way and that I send business their way, right? If it's after, you're going to send business out. If it's before, you're going to bring business in. Make sense? It's like a loop, okay? Mutually beneficial partnerships costs you nothing out of pocket, okay? Now, that's the first 7 steps, all right? That's what I got for you guys. And I didn't talk about advertising because the truth is, this is all about maximizing what you already have. When you do this right, your advertising will immediately be more profitable, significantly more profitable. I guarantee it, okay? So I'm not going to talk about advertising here, but that's the last step. The last step is advertising. If you want to do this while you're advertising, knock yourself out, right? That would probably be most applicable to like a startup, because if you don't have business coming in already, or if you don't have an existing book of business, you need to get more business. So you're going to have to market, you're going to have to advertise. But if you're an existing business, okay, you've been in business for 3 to 5 years, you've got, between 300 to 1,000, maybe 2,000, maybe a couple thousand customers, doing this can literally double your business. Okay. Find the leverage. Find the areas in the business, low-hanging fruit, that will help you generate sales. Now, I know it's not the most sexy thing, and I probably should have said this in the beginning, but if you want to generate revenue, this is the best thing that you can do. And let me tell you something. If you do the unsexy right now, which is doing this process, rolling up your sleeves and doing the work, when you do the stuff that's fun and easy, you're going to feel like a god. I'm not even like, I'm sorry if you're religious. I'm a little religious too. So that hurts me a little bit. But the point is, you're going to feel invincible because your business is operating highly efficiently. You've got systems and processes that are bringing in revenue every single day. Okay. So that is activated advertising. I hope you found this helpful. And I know it's a lot of information. So if you have questions, please ask the questions. I am here to help you. I'm here to serve you. And I want you not just to take this information and just have it in your brain. I want you to have this information so that you can apply it to your business, so that you can win in business. So if you have questions, all right, please ask them, whether it's in the comments, like I had mentioned before. If you're in my membership, ask them on the live calls. Or if you're in the membership and you want to talk about it in the private group, talk about it in the private group. If you're not in the membership, get in the membership. You can start for a $1 trial. That is most likely still available. If it's not, I'm sorry. You should have got on it earlier. But listen, guys, that's all I got for you. Ask questions, apply this stuff. Okay. Trust me, it's not fun always because it's work, but you got to work. All right. And the work you do now, if you do this work, everything you do after is going to just be, it's going to work so much better. So that's all I got for you. I don't want to keep this too long. I know it's already probably been, I don't even know how long, but thank you guys for listening to this video. I hope you found it helpful. Reach out with questions. If you're not in the membership, join the membership, and I'll see you on a future video. Talk to you soon.